What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into one of the most requested reviews analysis, so stick around, you don't want to miss this. But before we get into that, if you're considering a purchase, don't miss out on this incredible discount available right now. Check the description below and the pinned first comment. Now let's not delay any further and jump right into the details.
To get things started, let's hear from our first reviewer.
This reviewer started out by purchasing 2 of these portable power station units. Right off the bat, our reviewer found them to be well made and functional, which is always a good sign. However, things got a little more interesting when it came to testing the advertised capacity. This client, who readily admits they aren't an expert, conducted a series of tests to see how these power stations performed in real-world scenarios. First, they ran a small ceiling fan off the AC outlet. Both units powered the fan for about 8.5 hours after a full charge. Then, using the 12-volt DC output, they ran a small car fan. Again, both units lasted roughly 8.5 hours. These results were a bit puzzling because based on these tests, the actual capacity seemed lower than the manufacturer's claims. The discrepancy could be due to the efficiency of the inverter, which converts the DC power to AC, or the power station's battery not holding quite as much charge as advertised. In fact, their findings suggested that in some tests the power station's effective capacity was noticeably below what was claimed. Interestingly, some USB ports presented unexpected quirks. While this client successfully ran a car fan using USB to 12-volt adapters from the USB-A and USB-C ports, a low-wattage light bulb refused to turn on when plugged directly into a USB-A port. This suggests there may be a minimum amperage threshold for the USB-A ports to start functioning. A later test with a small USB-powered fan, however, proved quite successful, lasting over 18.5 hours. This data seemed to bring the effective capacity estimate closer to the manufacturer's claims once power conversion efficiency was factored in. The built-in light, tested as well, performed admirably as a backup light source, though no endurance testing was conducted for it. Overall, both units performed nearly identically in all tests. Our reviewer observed some inconsistencies, particularly with the low efficiency of the AC inverter and the apparent minimum power draw requirement of the USB-A ports. These limitations are certainly worth noting. Even considering these shortcomings, however, this client felt the units were worthwhile considering their price. They wouldn't necessarily pay full price given the discrepancies discovered, but at the purchase price, they felt it was a good value, especially considering the longer runtime observed in later USB-powered tests. The charging time was also quite reasonable, consistently around 3 hours. In short, while not perfect, the overall performance and value proposition made these portable power stations a worthwhile investment for this client.
Wonderful. Now, let's explore the feedback from our next reviewer.
This reviewer picked up this portable power station, hoping it would be a reliable companion for their drone flying and film-making adventures. Right out of the box, our reviewer was pleasantly surprised by how lightweight it was, a definite plus when you're already carrying a lot of gear. The built-in handle was also a thoughtful touch. They even envisioned clipping a carabiner to it and hanging the unit from a hook, a clever idea for using the integrated light as a convenient backup light source in a tent or even at home. Charging options were another highlight for this client. The ability to charge via USB-C or a DC power supply was appreciated, although they did wish the DC input was more versatile, allowing for direct charging from a vehicle's 12V port or a wider range of solar panels. This would have made it even more convenient for outdoor use. Testing the battery capacity, this client measured a usable output of around 74.7 watt-hours, enough to charge a mid-sized drone battery several times. Those drone batteries, by the way, are only about 41.4 watt-hours. However, recharging the power station to full capacity via USB-C took approximately 96.2 watt-hours, suggesting some energy loss during the charging process. The USB ports were sufficient for everyday devices like phones and tablets, but our reviewer found the power output a bit limiting for more demanding applications. While the inverter could provide 100 watts, it wasn't ideal for charging power-hungry devices like laptops or larger drone batteries, as the extra conversion steps resulted in some efficiency loss, and it put a significant strain on the battery life itself. Ultimately, this portable power station occupies a unique space in the market. It's more substantial and feature-rich than a typical pocket-sized power bank, offering multiple USB ports and an inverter. However, it doesn't quite match the capacity and endurance of a larger, more robust power station you wouldn't want to lug around. This client found it to be a happy medium, portable enough for on-the-go use with some advanced features, but lacking the raw power of larger models. It's a great option for someone who needs a bit more juice than a phone charger, but doesn't need the bulk of a heavy-duty power supply. It's a convenient, versatile device, but its limitations in power output should be considered before purchase. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, hit like, subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comments. Catch you in the next one.